So this is my last overpowered build video because it seriously doesn't get any more broken or straight up brain dead than this build. So sit back and prepare to watch something that's completely stupid, as this game should never be a challenge to you again after watching this. And I seriously can't think of anything more broken than this, so yeah, I guess let's get right to this. First, I just want to say that we're talking about something overpowered in Elden Ring, so obviously we're going to be using bleed. And I know some of you love it and some of you hate it, and personally I don't really care for it that much, but with bleed being as good as it is in this game, if we're talking about something very strong or even the strongest of all builds, I'm gonna be having to use bleed. And I also want to say thank you for all the love and support from you guys. Thanks for sticking around and watching me. We're getting really close to 50k subscribers, so consider subscribing if you're new and liking this video. But yeah, let's get to this. Our main weapon for this build is going to be the broken Mogwin Sacred Spear. Now, just spamming this Ash of War on its own is seriously damaging to anything in its range, but with this whole build put together, we can utilize things that makes this even more broken. So I'll show you all of that after, but first you'll need this weapon. So if you're unaware of how to get it, you'll need to make your way to Mog's mausoleum and kill him. And once he's dead, you'll just turn in his boss soul for his weapon. And now that you have it, just fully upgrade it. What's so broken about this is the Ash of War, so get close to any enemy in the game and use his Ash of War and you'll see for yourself. This thing has a full 360-degree radius around you dealing damage, meaning anything behind you or above you, or even on the other side of the wall from you will take damage and basically die. Its Ash of War has 3 phases, and its first and second are kind of the same and somewhat slow, and its last one is a bit slower but will last a lot longer and deal a lot more damage. So if you're able to get the third hit off on anything, it will either die or take a ridiculous amount of damage. And for my people who love to min-max in their builds, in your offhand you can run the Sacrificial Axe. What this does is every time you get a kill with it equipped, you'll get some FP back. Even if you're not using the weapon, as long as you have it equipped, you'll get some FP back from getting kills. So remember, this is optional, but I definitely would recommend it since you're getting FP back just for using the weapon. But you'll also need a seal if you want to do more damage. Anything you want to use works, but I personally use the Dragon Communion Seal. And the only thing you'll be using is Flame Grant Me Strength. I really wouldn't recommend using a bunch of other stuff because you kind of want to limit your FP use just to the Ash of War. You don't want to use a whole bunch of other spells and stuff, since the main utility from this build is going to be the Ash of War. But what Flame Grant Me Strength will help with is this weapon naturally has fire damage on it, and Flame Grant Me Strength will boost that fire damage on the weapon already. For armor, I'm not sure if there's anything too crucial you want to use here besides the white mask, but if you think something else will work really well in this build, definitely let me know in the comments. I just choose to use the Lord of Blood's robes and that whole set. I guess armor with high poise would work well since you're not going to get hit out of your Ash of War, but the attack already has high poise on it, so you're not going to be getting hit out of it that easy anyways. Now here we go with talismans, and this is really what makes the build. And there's a lot of options you can go with here, so I'm going to lay them all out for you, and feel free to choose anything you'd want to use. There's one talisman in particular that I'm going to recommend, and I'll mention that after I mention all the other ones, and you'll see why. But this is what makes this build just straight up broken. But first, and I think this one should be a given, is using the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. This will increase attack power when blood loss is triggered in the vicinity, which is kind of the whole premise of this build. Next, and remember guys, these are all optional, so remember to use anything you want to use. I'm just laying out a bunch for you to use. But next, you can use the Fire Scorpion Talisman to increase the fire damage. You could also use the Shard of Alexander, since the only attack you're really using in this build is the Ash of War, so it's kind of a must. You can also use the Crepus Vial, and personally I use this because it eliminates noise while walking, meaning I can basically walk up behind anything in the game and not even give it the chance to even turn around or hit me. You could also try the Ancestral Spirit Horn. This will work well with the Sacrificial Axe, just giving you more FP on your kills. The Carrion's Filigree Crest will also work great since this is going to lower the FP cost for the Ash of War. You could also use the Bulgo Talisman to raise your poise and in return not get hit out of your Ash of War. Those are all great options for you to use, so use any of those or anything you really want to use, but those are definitely the strongest ones that I can recommend. But this is the guaranteed one that I recommend for any boss fight or tough area that will make this stupidly broken. In your pouch, you're gonna want to add the Mimic Tier, and now go to your talismans and equip Shabriri's Woe. To utilize this to the best of its ability, enter a boss fight and call in your Mimic Tier, and then take off the talisman Shabriri's Woe. Since you already called in your Mimic Tier, the talisman Shabriri's Woe will be active for him, and once you take it off, it'll no longer be on for you. If you're not aware of what this does, it basically makes the boss hard locked on your Mimic Tier. This means you can spam the boss with your Ash of War without having to worry about getting hit or even having him look at you. This is what makes this all so broken, and once you try this for yourself, you'll never really feel a real challenge from this game again. And this is what it looks like when you use it to the best of its ability. In your physic, I recommend the Flame Shroud and Crack tier, and I also use the Cerulean Crystal tier to get some FP back when I drink it. For leveling, you'll need to be a little bit of a high level for this build, since you'll need a minimum of 24 strength, 14 dex, and 27 arcane to use this weapon, so keep that in mind. But once you have that, it's best for you to level up arcane in mind. This is primarily an arcane build, but you'll need a decent amount of points into mind to help with the cost of the Ashal Ore. Once you have all that, congrats, you probably have the most broken thing in Elden Ring. You guys will love this build just like I love the support from all you guys, so if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching all the way through. Consider leaving me a like on your way out or subscribing because we're getting pretty close to 50k, and other than that, I'm out, bruh. Peace.